Welcome to the Talking with Tech podcast. My name is Chris Bouvet, and I'm here as always with, wait a second, not as always. Rachel's not here with me today. Sorry, Rachel. Rachel took the week off, catching up on stuff, but I did invite my lovely wife, Melissa. Hello, Melissa.
Hi, thanks for having me. I love coming on.
Yes, well, thanks for being here. So let's talk about what's been going on in your world. So people who might be new to the podcast or just listening for the first time, they might not know that you're a
mom, cook. Okay. No, sorry. I'm the Dean of Special Education at a local high school.
Yes. And so you've been in a lot of meetings
Yes.
and you've had like boots on the ground, talking to families, talking to parents, talking to families of people who use augmentative communication, but let's not talk about just that population. Let's talk about all parents. What's your feeling? What are you hearing? What are some questions people have? What you've got the finger on the pulse of parents. What's the general impression you get?
Well, I think I'm going to come at it this way, Chris. First of all, I think the impression is everybody misses everybody. We all miss each other. In the end, we're all a community, and no matter what's going on out there, we just miss really seeing the kids and each other and meeting with these families. I think the general impression for parents is, and me being one, is it's a bit nerve-wracking. Even though I've gone through training, Chris, and this has been my life, it's hard. I don't know Algebra 2, and I don't know how to teach our freshmen Algebra 2. Heck, Math 8 is tough at times.
Luckily, I'm an expert in algebra
so
with my
amazing.
speech-language pathology training.
Yes. Oh, right. I mean, they go through calculus there, right? And trig. So I hear parents' frustrations there. I hear parents just, not having that skill of being able to get through to the kids because they're at home. And so those, especially the little kids, they haven't developed the association key that they need in their brain yet. So when they're home, they do this at home. They play, they eat, they sit with mom and snuggle. They watch movies. When they're in school, that's where they do all their worksheets and work. And so I think the littles are having trouble, with that association. And then the parents are really trying to get them to get stuff done because I've heard quite a bit. I'm so worried they're going to be behind. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. We're all in the same place. Everybody is experiencing the same stop point as far as where they stopped. The parents feel like there's a lot coming at them all at the same time. And sometimes it's a lot of edge-of-speak. So I think us as educators need to remember that just that compassion and kindness and putting yourself in those shoes of those parents.
Should we switch this conversation and talk about 504s or IEPs, or should we talk about PLAFPs, PLAFs, or maybe we should talk about AT, or maybe we should talk about accommodations versus modifications, or maybe we should talk about pedagogical stance on something? Like, these are the words that be like, what are you talking about?
Right. TDLPs right now, which I know a lot of people are talking about. So,
which in our neck of the woods, those are temporary distance learning plans.
Right. And then there's report cards coming out, and progress notes, and how we're grading for fourth quarter, and what we're using for fourth quarter. And you were mentioning that meme the other day, Chris.
Yeah.
About how on Facebook about how,
just go to the Zork and click on the Bork and turn on the zippity-doo, whatever it was.
And the parent was like, what? and I feel that way, in between my work, I am getting emails from teachers. It looks like almost like a time ticker on the, along the bottom of your screen.
Yeah. Let me just make sure I understand you, because I feel like I get those emails too. You mean as parents, we're getting emails and they're just embedded with all the other work emails and Gmail, whatever. Yeah. So suddenly you get an email from a teacher, maybe it's a sixth grade, or, luckily you work at the school that our son goes, so you'd recognize all the names, but sometimes you might get an email from the PE teacher and you're like, who is this again? Like, where? Yes. It's just buried in my email. And And because our kids or kids out there might have 10 different teachers,
Yes.
and sometimes, you could be getting 10 different emails all flooded with, and it looks like spam, so you
Yep.
could easily miss something, and it's hard.
And that's the other thing, too, we have to remember is the kids are getting these. Well, not the little kids. I mean, I don't think the little kids they're just learning how to manage that. So you have to think about that population, too. But even, our kids, with 14 and 12, their email is flooded, with, and it's a good way because they love seeing it from their teachers and they love hearing from their teachers. And we are so grateful for their teachers. Mm-hmm. And I know parents are grateful for all we're doing, but sometimes some teachers can be a little gung-ho and pull into that education of this is what I know and this is my content and here's how I'm going to get it across to your kid, almost to make sure that they know. And best intentions, always. They always have the best intentions, but
yeah, I feel like there's an expression there about best intentions though.
Yeah. So I think my biggest thing is just remembering that a lot of these parents don't have degrees in teaching, and we do. So cut the edge of speak as much as possible. Be compassionate. They're home with the kids all the time. And Chris, you know this about me, but in my meetings, I go into my IEPs as, I'm not home with your kid. Mm-hmm. I don't go home with him or her. You have a different lens of this child, and that's why you're a part of this team, because you're essential to us. And so I think right now we're all essential to each other, and just being compassionate with each other and patient, because things are changing nonstop.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I know a lot of people who are listening are educators, and you mentioned the educators that said like, well, I have this degree, right? I feel like and you said there's like a certain number that are like, okay, you didn't say it, I'll say it, like, cool your jets, we get you, let's think about empathy, right? I'm summarizing what I think you said just and spitting it back out as I'm
because
hearing
they
it.
mean the best.
Yeah, again, good intentions. I wonder if there's a mentality out there that education means content. And I am the person as the educator who is the controller of content, and I give you the content. I wonder, and I don't wonder, I know that needle has been shifting away from that, and there are still people that live there. But I think many educators have started to shift that mentality to, I am the person that can help you learn the content. I don't give it to you. Content is free. You can find content anywhere. But what strategies do you use to parcel out that, understand it, make sense of it, turn it into new? Yes, apply it. Those strategies are what really. So here's a graphic organizer you might use, or maybe even the reflective coaching that I talk about on this podcast all the time. All right, student, here's the content. How are you going to attack it? What are you going to do about it? What's the authentic problem you're trying to solve with it, and tying it back to something that's really meaningful to the student.
And I think, and Chris, always forefront, I'm speaking of the parents and I'm speaking of the educators, but the first and foremost is the kids. I think really remembering that, yes, we're struggling, but kids are so perceptive and receptive and empathetic naturally. And so they're soaking in every ounce of our own stress that even we're trying to hide, right? So even our son was able to say, and even though I was walking around going, no, everything's okay. Let me just, the first 2 weeks of it, let's get schedules and let's make new recipes and let's have spirit days in the house and everybody put on a t-shirt that means something to them. You and I were doing all these things. Well, you were like underwater.
Yeah.
But so was I. But at the same time, I was escaping in the very little moments I had to just envelop the kids and keep them busy. And our son finally looked at me at one point and said, I know you're stressed. And I said, no, I'm fine. No, you get busy when you're stressed and you stay busy. And so we have to remember that they're hearing and seeing and they're feeling it, and they're feeling the loss. We were excited. We get to stay home. You and me are like, oh my gosh, we're staying home. We get to work from home. This is so great at first, and the kids were like, no, I want my friends. I want my teachers. I mean, our daughter gets up every morning and still I hear the same few names of her teachers that she misses so bad every day.
Well, I can say for our kids, and I feel like this is what a lot of our kids' friends also say, is that they miss the social aspect of school. They miss their friends. They miss their teachers. It's that academic piece. It's that academic piece that I'm not sure that they miss, that there's some content like, oh man, I really miss learning about social studies today. Do you know what I mean?
No.
And I wonder how we as educators, when this is all over, when we go back, what lessons can we take to say, how can we have kids fall in love with learning and not just fall in love with the idea of going to see their friends,
Right. I think too, a lot of our kids have said to us, I just miss going in to a structure. A lot of kids miss the structure of, well, I'm in there and there's different things going on and I get to learn in different ways. And I thought that was pretty cool to hear. So this self-guided learning can be really difficult for some of the kids.
Well, yes, I understand that 100%. I totally agree. I wonder if it'd be a lot less difficult for them if from kindergarten it was less structured. There was more flexibility. If we trained them right from the beginning and coached them through, all right, what tool do you need to draw that picture of a flower? A crayon? All right, instead of go get the crayons off table 4. We've always provided this very structured situation of school. So I wonder how things could change if we did provide more opportunities and flexibility in the design of school when we go back, so that kids can do that on their own. They can provide their own regimented structure.
Right. I mean, well, our perfect example of something like that I can see being really useful is what our daughter did. Remember how all of a sudden, just one day we set a very loose structure for them of, you guys talk about what would work for you as far as your learning style. And so our daughter said, okay, I can get up right away and eat, and then I need to do 30 minutes of math, because if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it. And then I have to take 30 minutes and do something I want to do. And then I'll do another 30 minutes, and then I'll take another 30 minutes of what I want to do. And then we gave her examples of, you can read, you can draw, you can paint. We ordered paints. We replenished for her because we knew we were going to be home. But she took yarn that her grandmother had given her, looked up on YouTube and learned to knit, finger knit. And that became her stress release. And it was fantastic.
And it's a life skill. Knitting is a life skill. What does she learn out of all of this? There'll be content that she learns, spit back out on some sort of program that'll be gone, from her brain. But finger knitting is a skill that she'll do forever.
Then I walked upstairs and she was playing Monopoly. And I said, how are you doing that by yourself? And, our daughter can figure out anything. So I was like, this is going to be intriguing explanation. And she turned her phone and her best friend was on the phone. And they had the same Disney Monopoly game. And so they both set it up and that's how they were playing. She was playing at her house and it was days. That thing stayed up for days and then, they played. So they figured it out. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you this. Let's turn the conversation to your families of students who have AAC devices. I know you have a few. And so what is that? What does the intervention look like? What have the conversations been like? I know you've been on some of those calls. What's it like?
So at first, I think this whole thing was a shock. And so we were all trying to learn how to even be at home learning. But our team is amazing and immediately got together and said, how are we going to get to these kids? What can we do? So
meaning like modeling
on the Google Meets and how can we use the camera? How can we use the voice? How can we use the presentations? What do we need to make sure we have everything we need to teach these skills? So we got, every Monday we get together and we plan, and we made a room, a Google Meet, just for our student right now with AAC. And we meet with him every Tuesday and Thursday, and that just started. We got with the parent. We talked about the plan with the parent. The parent said, okay, he's, distractible, but sure, we'll give it a try. Like, she's awesome. She is just so like, I'll go with it. And I reminded the team that he has not seen us in 47 days. And so seeing all of us on that screen for the first time was going to be overwhelming for him. And so, I hoped so exciting. He really does. We love him. And I knew it was going to be overwhelming for them when they saw him too. And I could see them tearing up. And it was just, we really love our kids, it's awesome. And so, but the parent did contact us and ask if there was any webinars out there or anything that they could do as a family to communicate more thoroughly or better, or, and that's awesome because we want to be there to give them those resources.
Yeah, that's what we can do. That's our ability to help.
And I loved it that she reached out. So I sent her right to you, of course. I was like, here, go see Chris. And luckily they're friends of ours. So it's great. We can make sure that we take care of what is needed. But it's cool to make sure that we have those resources available to us as teachers and to use them. And not be afraid to ask for help, because these parents are just coming and asking, and I'm like thinking so far out of the box. It's really stretching my imagination and my creativity, which I'm really, really thankful for. Because I feel like I was getting, stuck in paperwork and every day and move, go, meeting.
It's real easy to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And my creativity was working with families. And so I was really lucky that way all year. But when you're done, you go and you do your job, right? Yeah. So it's been cool to see even the high schoolers want to show you their house on Google Meet, I love it.
All right, there's one last thing we have to talk about. And that is this free resource that's coming out, or that is out. It's out right now. It's called covidspeak.org. It was put together by Bill Binko and Brian Whitmer. Bill Binko, you might know from Lesson Picks and AT Makers. Brian Whitmer is from Cough Drop. Yep. But for free, they got together and put together this resource. You showed me. I showed you. Do you want to talk about it for a second?
It's fantastic. So when I got on, I just wanted to say, first of all, Bill and Brian, it is so clean and it is user friendly, and what is it? People are like, what is this thing? covidspeak.org. We've given the virus the ability to speak, right? Yeah. Yes. So it is a program that is, you can get on, and people in hospitals right now, when you go in, you aren't allowed to take anyone with you. So there's a lot of people in there, and think about it, that are susceptible to being intubated or have disabilities or have underlying health issues that may include them not having an intellectual disability and not being able to communicate effectively. And so because they have no ability to speak or communicate in a way that people can understand them, these two fine men put together this program that they can communicate with another person on the screen. So it's a screen within a screen. So it's showing them, and then you can call,
it's like a video. It's like a video conference.
Video conference. And on the outside of the frame are core words that you can use. Yes, no, happy, sad. I was investigating. You can have 4 on a frame. You can have 8 on a frame. You can have 6 on a frame. It's what you need. And then you can choose from the words: feelings, food, emotions. It's absolutely amazing.
And there's a custom button, so you can add your own.
Yes.
And there's alphabet boards and things.
Yes.
But so the idea is that because it's a video conferencing and a visitor is not allowed to come into the room, and someone might not be able to talk.
Yes.
So a nurse or someone could hold up a camera or something, but how do they actually communicate with the person on the other side? They would use their eyes.
Yes.
So they would look to different parts of the screen. So imagine using Zoom, but not talking. You're just looking at, or one person could be talking, the one person that's on one side of the screen, who's maybe at home,
Yes.
but the person that's in the hospital could then be looking at the different cells. And the person on the other end can kind of control what the board is on the outside, what those symbols are.
And I think this is important to note, Chris, because with a computer screen, you would think, oh my gosh, but it's so small. How would they know? No, they designed it so well. I was really impressed, I'll be honest with you, that it is truly a frame, and they're fairly big. So whatever direction you look, you know if they're looking top right, top middle, top left, So I was just really impressed. And they have emotions that they can use it, so they kept it current and modern, and things that kids know, they kept that kid speak in there too, which I'm just really impressed by them.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, it costs $4,000 to use, right? No,
Chris.
2,000?
Nope.
1,000?
Do you know how awesome these guys are?
No. 10,000?
Okay, let me just tell you how awesome they are.
Am I hot or
They
cold?
put it out for free.
Oh, it's free.
Yes. They put it out for free. And get this. It's open source.
What does that mean?
It means that if anybody can access it, any developer can access it if they wanted to work on it or adjust it or however, or work with them. But I'm just blown away.
Yeah.
Blown away.
So remember last week how I said we signed up for that 5K run? Well, Rachel had the great opportunity to talk to one of the organizers of that run. Her name is Tara Weingardner, and I know her from Twitter a little bit. And Tara and Rachel got on an interview here on Zoom and recorded what you're about to hear. So without further ado, let's listen to Rachel's interview with Tara Weingardner.
Do you feel like you spend all of your time writing assessment reports? We know that one of the hardest things about assessments is the time it takes to write up the report. That's why we've partnered with Double Time Docs, an online software that can help you write your speech and language reports faster. You simply answer multiple choice questions, fill in the blanks and short answers, and a fully written report is generated automatically.
It may seem like magic, and in a way, it is. Sophisticated technology generates paragraphs and scoring charts, speeding up your report writing dramatically. And they've even built out an AAC portion that focuses specifically on AAC device trialing and selection.
But don't take our word for it. You can check out the reviews on their website, doubletimedocs.com, by clicking on the Capterra link. Join thousands of therapists and save hours of time writing your evaluation reports with Double Time Docs.
Just go to doubletimedocs.com to sign up for a free 30-day trial to try it out for yourself. Don't forget to use the promo code TWT2020 to get one free doc credit. That's TWT2020. Check them out at doubletimedocs.com.
Do you work in a hospital or know someone that's been affected by COVID-19 and has been intubated and on a ventilator? COVID Speak is a free web-based video communication tool to connect intubated patients with their loved ones during social distancing. When someone is intubated and on a ventilator, they can greatly benefit from positive emotional connections with others. To learn more, go to covidspeak.org.
Welcome to Talking with Tech. I'm your host, Rachel Mado, joined by Tara Wineinger. Tara, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's just start off a little bit. Tell our audience who you are and how you got interested in assistive technology.
Well, like you said, my name's Tara. I am the assistive technology facilitator for the Park Hill School District. That means that I do assistive technology in all areas for all students, any student who is not achieving. So it's not just special education. I started as a special education teacher. I worked in a severe and profound classroom, and I just started gravitating towards technology, in particular communication devices for students. And then over the years, I kind of moved into administration and decided, you know what, I miss kids, and kids with disabilities are my passion.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think we all kind of share that similar passion, right? Is like I felt similar. I was always drawn to kids with special needs. And I think I've always been drawn to technology in some ways. So it just felt like a natural progression for me to get interested in AAC, and see what a profound impact it can make, right? Like, I feel like that's the coolest part, is that we work with students and then we see just these amazing things happen when we get the right technology in front of a student.
Mm-hmm. It's life-changing if you can get everything to match up. That changes their lives.
Absolutely. So the reason that I wanted to have you come on today, Tara, is because you are part of an organization that has created a virtual run. And so I would love for you to just tell our audience about it. We already talked about it on the podcast last week, but I want to, talk a little bit more in detail about what the run is, how it was started, and then encourage people who are listening to sign up for it.
Yeah, sure. We have an organization. It's called Sophies Run at Lake Wacomas. That is the community in which we hold the race. This is our 10th year to have this race. The race is run, and it was started as an organization to provide assistive technology for the children in the Park Hill School District. Well, over the 10 years, it's really grown into, not only are we raising funds, but we're trying to have fun. We bring a community together and we have a lot of fun while raising money. And all of the funding goes towards augmentative communication devices for students in our school district. Sophies Run was started by Jim and Teresa Edwards, and they are parents of Sophie. Sophie was a student in our school district, and Sophie spent years trying to find the right communication device. She had a very complex disability, and they finally settled on an eye gaze device, and they had to go through just an incredible amount of red tape. So it took almost an entire year for that device to get approved. Well, in that time, Sophie passed away. And 1 week after her funeral, the UPS man, who they had gotten to know very well with all the other products that were being delivered, walked up to the house to deliver the communication device that they had spent a year trying to get. So at that time, Jim and Teresa set their mission out to be that no family should have to wait for a communication device. And if that student has gone through evaluations and trials and the team can prove that this is what this kid needs, then they should have it. So that's how we got started.
Well, that's a really powerful story, and unfortunately one that I think a lot of families struggle with. A lot of clinicians who are listening to this podcast can relate to a lot of red tape sometimes, especially with more sophisticated devices like eye tracking. It's just so much red tape and so much reports, and sometimes appeals and all these things that you have to go through in order to actually get technology in front of a student. And so I love that this organization and this run is kind of working towards alleviating that. And
it does. It alleviates a lot of that pressure, not only to get your first device, but as you know, working with students who have behavior issues, they then break devices. So
I do know that all too well, unfortunately.
Yes. So not only can we get a device in a parent's hand in 2 weeks, we then can replace devices. We have the ability to keep the communication and language development occurring, and not have it break down because something is broken.
Absolutely. So for our listeners who are interested in this, and I have to say that I was tagged in social media. Thank you so much for tagging me, because I was so excited to see that this year your run has become virtual. Yes. So I know that it was an actual run in the past, but because of all the situation with the pandemic, you guys have created a virtual run, and that made me really excited because I was able to sign up. So for people who are interested in running, what does that look like? How do they sign up? Like what are they going to do next?
Well, you're going to go to runsophies5k.com. That is our webpage, and there is a link right on the front page to register for the race. The race will be held, like you said, virtually, starting May 24th through the 30th. We're asking everyone who registers to take a picture of yourself, either at the start, the finish. Some people will track their run and take a picture of your watch or phone or whatever you've used to track your race, and tag us in social media. We have a Facebook, an Instagram, and a Twitter account. So whichever format you use the most, we're just asking that you tag us in hopes that we can continue to spread the word that funds are needed to benefit kids who use augmentative communication.
And for listeners who are out there who are like, oh, wow, I would love to start something like this for my school district, is like, what would your advice be to a clinician who's like, I want to do this in my neck of the woods?
Yeah, it's great. I would recommend anyone do it. We've been able to help 132 families over 10 years, and that's a lot. That's a lot of families.
Absolutely.
So I would recommend that you find a family that you can collaborate with, like the Edwards. It works successfully because we have such a powerful relationship with Jim and Teresa Edwards. And then I would say contact me. Sophies Run would be willing to have any school district be underneath our non-for-profit umbrella, but you could have your own run and name it whatever, or dedicate it to whatever student or family that you want. But there's no reason any school district cannot put together their own fundraising idea. Maybe a 5K isn't what works best in your area, but there is another fundraiser that would work well. And start slow. 10 years ago, we were really excited that we had 300 runners, and now we're up to races that are over 500 and 600. So start small and know that every year you get bigger and bigger.
And exactly. I think that what it does is, and of course it raises funds, which we need in order to get devices and fix devices and things like that. We need money. But the even greater impact, I feel like, is you build awareness, right? Yeah. Somebody might not even know what an AAC device is, and they might, hear that their friend is running, Sophies Run. And then it allows you and affords you an opportunity to talk about what is an augmentative alternative communication and why is it so important for, students who aren't able to, consistently use words to communicate. So I feel like it really opens that door to allow for a bigger conversation, which is awesome.
Exactly. One of the things that occurred is that we have 20 buildings in our school district. Each building has a team, and the teams are typically made up of kids who join a running club. So they start training usually in January when the snow melts here. They start training, and at those training sessions, I'm able to bring communication devices in and show them what a communication device can look like. They often say, oh, well, my neighbor uses that, or I've seen so-and-so walking in the halls with that. And it raises their awareness. But then when they all come to the race, they compete against each other for, best time, which building had the most competitors, who raised the most funds. We do coins for communication, and the kids bring their cans of coins and we count them. And they learn a lot about how much it takes to purchase a device, but also how to become a better AAC communicator.
Absolutely. Yeah. And anytime we can take an opportunity to teach communication partners, especially peers, what an amazing experience. And it sounds like it's an entire community event, which I love because it's not just, the students with special needs, right? We open it up to the entire district and the entire school. And I love the idea of this sense of community that's built around an activity like this.
It's very exciting, and the community has gotten more involved. I mean, the grocery store managers come, restaurant managers come now to our race, and they're learning about how to be better AAC listeners and communicators when those students and families come to their places of business. So it just keeps growing, and it's so wonderful.
Well, I love that. Tara, for people who are like, yes, I want to start this for my district, what's a good email address to reach you at?
You can email runsophies5k@gmail.com, or you can email me, and it's just wineinger@parkhill.k12.mo.us.
Amazing. I would definitely encourage everyone to think about this, and if it might make sense for your district, if you're a school-based SLP, even if you're in private practice, I think you could start something like this in your own community and get a lot of support and momentum. I'm really excited that you were able to come on today, Tara. I definitely would encourage all of our listeners to sign up for the run. Chris and I have signed up. Share it on social media. You can go to runsophies5k.com is the website, correct, Tara?
Yes, ma'am.
Amazing. May 24th through the 30th. Tara, what if you can't run? Because I feel like I'm thinking about all the things that people are telling themselves like, well, I can't run.
Well, I can't run, but I walk. And so you can do a walk.
Exactly.
You can do your run. Maybe you do 4 blocks a day. And if that's all you can walk, that's all you can walk.
Great. I love it. I'm just trying to anticipate all of the excuses that people come up with, right?
I know,
like,
right?
Oh, a 5K run. Oh, no.
Well, you can just make a donation if you don't want to do the physical exercise. There's a button on the website for that too.
I love it. I love it. I did think definitely now with quarantine, I think we could all get outside, do some walking, get some fresh air.
Yes.
I love the idea of splitting it up across, the entire week if you want to.
Yeah.
I love this. I'm so excited, Tara. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thank you for having me. And thank you to everyone. We have 22 states represented in the run this year because we've put it out on so much social media and because people like you and Chris and many other wonderful speech pathologists have signed up. So we so appreciate you.
Love it. Love it. For Talking with Tech, I'm Rachel Madel, joined by Tara Wineinger. You guys sign up for Sophies Run. I'm really excited. You'll definitely see it on my social media when I'm running. For Talking with Tech, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Hi, I'm Mei-Ling Chan.
And I'm Martin Sibley.
And we are the hosts of the Exceptional Leaders Podcast, where we spotlight high-profile topics and amazing people who are changing the worldview on disability.
Even though we are oceans apart, we are bringing people from all over the world together to discuss inclusion, advocacy, accessibility, and real-life journeys.
So listen to the Exceptional Leaders Podcast to hear the voices and stories from amazing changemakers and be inspired to make a real difference in the world.
You're listening to the Exceptional Podcast Network.